or its management.
Collaboration Radio. We are here at the six-corner intersection of art, activism, and social change.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope you are ready for today's show. It's going to be a stone gas, honey, because we have Honey West in the house.
Hi. We've brought Honey into the whole show because, you know, everything is better with a little honey.
Well, you catch more flies with honey. That's what they tell me.
And for today, I know that local honey helps with my allergies.
It does.
So I'm going to sit close to you.
Yeah.
All right, let's everybody get comfortable, get yourself ready so we can get started. We are going to take a moment to finish soaking up the sounds from DJ Lady D, and then we will get right into it. I'm going to sniff on beat.
That's right. Chicago house music.
Come on, Billy Drill, hit it.
Oh, the Facebook Live says Collaboration Radio.
Not again, not again, not again, not again.
Hello. Yeah. You can watch us live on Facebook Live. And maybe YouTube Live.
Maybe YouTube.
Yeah, there we go. Nice. Welcome. Thank you for joining us at Collaboration Radio on WCPT 820 AM, Chicago's progressive talk radio. And also streaming live on Facebook and WCPT.com. Or available on demand now at Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube Live, maybe even right now, and everywhere else that you go shopping for your digital audio vegetables.
Hello, I am Carla Stillwell.
And I am Anthony Moseley.
We are your host here on Collaboration Radio, where you will be able to catch us every Saturday at 4 p.m. for the foreseeable future, or as long as there is injustice in the world. On this episode, we've already teased her. We will be joined by Honey West, who will do the artist spotlight and our interview this week. It's going to be something.
It's a triple booking because Honey is also just here with us in the studio. Hi, Honey.
Hi. I love coming here.
It's a special place.
Yeah.
And when we come, it's WVCPT. Very progressive. Collaboration is sponsored, Collaboration Radio, and Collaboration, for that matter, is sponsored by the amazing Joseph and Bessie Feinberg Foundation and donors and members like you. And we just got the new T-shirts in. They're wonderful. They have no logo, no words on them, no letters on them.
I can't even get mine without being noisy.
They just have our big Venn diagram color wheel thing going on. And there we have teal and purple. And become a member and get yourself a T-shirt and support all the things Collaboration does. This radio show, our youth program, our main stage, all the little events, workshops, and connections that we bring to the Chicago scene. And we're going to do that today on the show.
You can reach us at Collaboration, www.collaboration.org, or you can email us. Please email us. We'd love your feedback, your thoughts, and if you need anything else, any more information about how we get down at Collaboration, email us at radio@collaboration.org. And today's episode of Collaboration Radio is sponsored by AV Chicago, Chicago's leading provider of AV production and event management services.
We're a 26-year-old nonprofit. We made it to 26, and in theater company years, especially these days, where we're losing a company every week or two, it seems. 26 years that we're about, I think we're about 34 in real years.
Actually, we're like 75 in theater years.
I know. I got depressed as I started to make the conversion. We're actually, no, to be honest, we're like 207. Yes, finally. And our mission is to build knowledge, empathy, dialogue, and action around making social change that connects us all, dismantles the intersectional oppressions, and you know, we have everything we need on this planet, and the technology is increasing every day. There's no reason we can't continue every day to move towards a place where there's less suffering, more water, and we make live theater, film, radio, and we're just here to be sharing the power of storytelling and community to cultivate positive social change. We have a couple little news updates. We are going to be having our next House of Belonging event. Honey, I sure hope you can join us for my 50th birthday.
Congrats.
On August 3rd at the Underground Cocktail Club.
Anthony will be 600 months old.
600, hitting the 600 month mark.
I've passed mine.
Our friend Javid Music Party will be doing the music. Javid is also the artist supreme known as GQ of the Q Brothers. AJ Sacco will be doing some magic. And my friend Carla is going to make a little toast in my honor, and it might get a little roasty.
It might be toasty, and it might be roasty.
August 3rd. See you there. Marcus, are you going to be able to be there?
Yes.
Excellent. Sean? Henry? Thursday nights?
Sure.
Yes. It's going to be great. And then also Carla's film that she also hosts. It's also a web series pilot. It's called O Colonizers. It got into the Silver Room Block Party Film Festival.
I'm like, what?
July 15th. And it's an amazing piece that connects the insurrection of January 6th to the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And if we don't stop making these mistakes, y'all.
We're going to talk about a mistake today. And I am actually doing the panel discussion for that event on the 14th? 15th. On the 15th.
Saturday the 15th. And the Silver Room Block Party just announced that this year, the 18th, will be their last.
Yeah.
Eric Williams started a cultural phenomena connected to his store in Wicker Park, and moved to Hyde Park about I don't know years anymore.
About 5 or 6 years ago, and then it got ginormous,
huge on the beach, and this will be the last one. And then I'm sure it'll evolve into something
even more amazing,
even more silver. And save the date, November 11th, 11/11. Make a wish. Come to our Utopian Ball. And become a member. Go to collaboration.org. That's the Collaboration updates for this week.
Wow, that's a lot of sound. It's real Bugs Bunny and shit.
Yes,
so
yeah.
It felt real Warner Brothers up in this piece.
No, it's not a keeper. But. And now it's time for our first weekly segment of the show, A Bright Red Line by Carla Stillwell.
Hello. I'm going to use my radio voice. Okay, so this week, the bright red line. Oh, everything is old is new. So I don't know if you know this, guys, but today is the 1-year anniversary of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And I know my people have been very upset this last year, very, very disturbed. There have been major changes. People have been going to the ballot box. But I think it's always important to know why these things happen and how we get to places so that we never go back here again. So actually, what happened was in 1954, Brown versus the Board of Education case was decided by the Supreme Court. And it was like, it is completely unjust to have segregated schools. So they integrated the public schools, and the white people lost their minds and were like, Lord, we have to start homeschooling our children. We have to start insulating our children from the world. We have to cover and blanket them and keep them from procreating with those brown people and all of that, mixing color and mixing culture. So this dude, who is actually not a minister, he was actually like some random white man, Bill Gothard, in 1961, started the Institute in Basic Life Principles. Do you know the Duggars off of that 19 and counting? They are the poster children for the Institute of Basic Life Principles. And part of the principle was, you are white and they are killing us, so you must procreate. You have to do it. You have to have as many kids as possible. This is your job as a white evangelical, to breed and to homeschool your children and to insulate them. So in the middle of all of this, Roe v. Wade was settled over 600 months ago, 50 years ago. And that freaked the people out. Because also, we can talk about population real quick. So here's what I looked up. It's funny because it upsets the people. So, in, what year is this? How many white people was it? In 1970, the percentage of white people, people that call themselves white, on the census was 93. To the last census, in 2020, the percentage of white people that marked 57.8%. There is a direct correlation between the fear of white replacement and this need to stop women from having proper health care. Because we use this word abortion and it's wrong. It's really about women's reproductive health and women's reproductive rights. And it doesn't hurt that without those reproductive avenues, Black women are dying of higher rates from complications with birth and pregnancies. So just know what's going on, people. Bright red line. It's a correlation. Everything is not about race, except everything is about race. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Bright red line. Did I get snaps? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm like the kid in the front of the class of Carla's bright red line classroom. I'm teacher's pet. Thank you, Carla, for sharing once again.
Go out and vote.
Today, Saturday, June 24th, is the 1-year anniversary of the U.S. Supreme Court striking down Roe versus Wade. Right now, our friends at Timeline Theater are presenting What the Constitution Means to Me, the first homegrown Chicago production that digs deep into the history of the U.S. Constitution and our continuing fight for women's reproductive rights. Little Collaboration trivia. It starts the amazing Beth Lakey as Heidi Schreck, creator of the 2019 Tony and Pulitzer-nominated Broadway sensation. Does Beth's name ring a bell to anyone? because she's longtime Collaboration fans may remember Beth from her Jeff Award-winning Best Supporting Actor turn as Miss Nebraska in our 2001 production of The Life and Times of Tulsa Love Child by Greg Owens, directed by company founder Kimberly Sr. It was a great show for us. Beth was and is hilarious and super talented and lovely. It's great to see Beth back in Chicago and live on a Chicago stage through next Sunday. So go check that out. Runs through July 2nd. That's at Timeline Theater in Lakeview. Learn more and buy tickets at timelinetheater.com.
This is a Collaboration Radio public service announcement. Honey has been a longtime supporter and advocate for Season of Concern, a local nonprofit we know you hold dear. So here's today's free Collaboration Radio PSA. Season of Concern was founded in 1987 as the Chicago theater community's response to AIDS to offer financial assistance and services to theater artists who were suddenly afflicted with AIDS and AIDS-related illnesses. Today, Season of Concern offers emergency funds and services to help Chicago theater artists impacted by any illness, injury, or health-related issue that prevents them from working. Learn more, donate, follow their socials, and learn about their live events and holiday Pass the Bucket Theater Community fundraiser at seasonofconcern.org. And now, it's time. Time for Anthony to talk about the cousins. It's white now. White now.
Right now, it's white now.
Yes.
Or as Carla likes to say, the Get Your Cousins show.
It's the Get Your Cousins show.
White people.
Gather your cousins.
White people. You know, the thing is, ever since I was a young boy, white people have always loved me. Especially the mothers of the girls I dated.
Oh, goodness.
They just loved my whiteness.
Oh, God.
I had no idea. I was a towhead, too. I was blonde and, just adorable. I've been getting less adorable my whole life. There was puberty. That was a weird thing. But anyways, I was going to talk about something else. But I think it's important that we had an amazing chat with Honey in the conference room here, and as we got ready to prepare. And I just want to say that as we continue to erase the whiteness of this country, both demographically and in regards to power and system change, no matter what we try to do, it all begins with you. And that there's no getting around working on yourself first and foremost. Nothing will happen until you have that it's an enlightenment. It is an actual breakthrough, and you can really actually start to look at yourself, move beyond your fragility, and look at your people and the history of our families and the ways we have benefited from whiteness. And a lot of people don't really, they have a cognitive dissonance around the concept of privilege, which is that there are certain things that you did not have to go through that other people have. You have blind spots. And until you can identify your own blind spots, you're still blind. So I say this, and I immediately know that I have to start by challenging myself. There are ways that I can continue to grow and erase my own ignorance and the own white supremacy that has been that I was born into, and I'll never get there. And, you know, a lot of things that I need to continue to work on have to do with being a white man. And the male part is really, it's impossible to split ourselves up into these buckets that people tried to put us into. We are holistic humans, and we're trying to learn. But I just, coming off of Juneteenth, moving towards the 4th of July, here we are in Pride Month. There's always an opportunity to learn and grow, and I hope that y'all white people will take a moment and just know that there's work to be done, and you have to really spend some time with yourself. And don't be scared, because once you move beyond that state of fragility and guilt and denial, shame, it's a world of abundance where there's more for you and for everybody. Right now.
Right here, right now. And now, for this week's Artist Spotlight, we are so excited to have our dear friend Honey West in studio. Actor, singer, phenomenal gal. That she's gonna drop a little music on us live, and the song I believe we'll be hearing is "Scotch and Soda."
Yeah, we'll see. It is allergies, right?
Yeah. You're gonna give it to us, though.
We'll see what happens. Scotch and soda, mud in your eye. Baby, do I feel high? Oh me, oh my. Do I feel high? Dry martini, jigger of gin. Oh, what a spell you've got me in, oh my. Do I feel high? Now people won't believe me. They'll say that I'm just bragging, but I could feel the way I feel and still be on the wagon. All I need is one of your smiles, sunshine of my eyes. Oh me, oh my. Do I feel higher than a kite could fly? Give me loving, baby, I feel high. Now people won't believe me. They'll say that I'm just bragging, but I could feel the way I feel and still be on the wagon. All I need is one of your smiles, sunshine of my eyes. Oh me, oh my. Do I feel higher than a kite could fly? Now give me loving, baby, I feel high.
So I'm old enough to remember listening to stuff on a record player, and you sound like a record girl.
Oh, thank you.
You sound like my childhood. Oh.
Yeah, I like the oldies. Yes. I am an oldie.
But a goodie.
Well, I think so. I'm learning that. It took me almost a lifetime to feel like a goodie, like a lot of us marginalized folks who grow up being told that we're less than. And so that's, it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling to be in the presence of greatness. I'll tell you that. That was, thank you so much. Hi.
Hi.
What's cooking over in Honey West's kitchen right now?
I have been working on a show called The Boy in the Tutu with John Nasca, who's a director, costume designer, and Tyler Miles, who's this young composer and an artist writing incredibly beautiful music. And we've just been joined by Tommy Novak, who's an actor, director. So very excited about it started really when I didn't understand things. You know, you talked about history. We were all lied to about history, whether it was slavery or the Holocaust or anyone's contribution that wasn't just pure white. And it's important that we do know our history because we stand on the shoulders of many. But I didn't know who I was, and so I struggled with depression and anxiety. So I wrote. I'm also dyslexic. Now, I was born in 1961, so we didn't have dyslexia back then. There wasn't transgender. I kind of didn't exist on many levels. But I wrote to try to figure out what I was feeling and why I was feeling that. And these segments, these little stories or these little pieces of writing slowly became something I thought maybe I could share with people. And so it's become and is becoming an all-original music called The Boy in the Tutu.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful. You know, my wife, Sandra Delgado, and I both started as actors.
Yeah.
Carla, I think you started as an actor, right?
I did start as an actor.
And there's just something magical about, you know, an actor growing into writing and then sharing who they are in every way and how they got here. I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait for people to see it. I'm a little nervous, but yeah.
Well, please let us know how we can help.
Certainly
in any ways. We definitely can, as it develops and it gets ready to be shared with people, we could bring you back in. And
I would love that.
And so, yeah, look out for that. We're going to come back in a moment and actually have a deep conversation with Honey West.
Collaboration Radio is supported by Social Innovations Group of Chicago, providing coaching, consulting, and training on the human side of expertise. From nationally recognized work with collective impact groups in community to large systems change in business and government, to coach leaders to transform their organizations in pockets of excellence that are radically inclusive while driving breakthrough performances. Social Innovation Group can be reached at www.drmarcusrobinson.com for more information. And we are supported and sponsored by this group. And Dr. Marcus is here in studio and will be with us in a brief, tiny moment. But before we get to Dr. Marcus, today's guest, Honey West, it rhymed! Actor, activist, has been on the Oprah show backing up Cyndi Lauper, and was crowned Miss Morton Downey Jr. by a panel of celebrity judges on Downey's talk show, has been around giving us this greatness for a long time. We will be getting into our deep conversation with Honey, and you can call in at 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. If you have any questions or things you want to share with us about anything you've already heard, or just pick pick Honey's brain. Because when people are like, are in here like, we got to pick these people's brain. We got to find out what makes them cook.
Yeah.
So we can cook too.
I need to know what I'm thinking. If you ask me, I'll tell you.
Well, I'm going to ask you this.
Yeah.
As a Marvel fan, what is your origin story?
My origin story. Well, I could talk about it for 2 hours. I'll tell you the honest truth. I graduated from Indiana University with a musical theater degree. I grew up in Gary, Indiana, which is almost like a suburb of Chicago.
Yeah.
And so I traveled right out of college with resorts and cruise ships. This is all pre-transition, doing, review work, singing and dancing, quartets, sextets, octets. And I was 27 years old, and I was getting, I had a marketable voice, but being a very feminine boy with a higher timbre to my voice. I'm just a tenor. People, would even come up to me. I remember the Brown Derby Playhouse in Indiana for some reason. This woman was so nice. She pulled me aside. She says, "We really love your voice, but what can we do with you?" She said, "If we ever do Godspell or Jesus Christ Superstar, we'll call you." And I thought about it. And then one day, a friend of mine, Andy, who is Mexican, told me this story on the streets of Chicago where he took 2 buses and a train to get to the suburbs to a little Latin theater company where it was basically a walk-on. There was no compensation. There were no lines, and it was just for the experience. And I thought, wow, 27 years old, I'm going to go into my 30s as a chorus boy, because they would book me to sing and jump around. And I thought, I can't do that, so what am I going to do? I really thought about it, and I was probably crazy at the time, but I thought, okay, I'm going to take all of these deficits, being softer, having a higher timbre to my voice, and I'm going to turn them into assets. I'm going to create a character that will house who I am and see if I can make it marketable. So I did a show called A Taste of Honey at the old Puj Studios, and it was kind of a hit, and so I started performing, and I've never stopped. And that was long before I identified transgender because, growing up in the 60s and 70s, I had buried myself so well. I had hid and lied for so long that I didn't know I was, or didn't acknowledge I was transgender till I was 41. That was 20 years ago. And so I always say, I don't know if I found her or she found me, but serendipitous, I learned how to be who I am from the character. And so here I am. That's my story.
I love your story. I love your story. A lot of my trans friends who are actually boomers have a similar story of getting, like, not even knowing it's a thing.
Sure.
Like, not even, like, my...
Well, it didn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All we knew was, that we were somehow stained and bad, and that sticks with the person. So it's taken a long time. I just heard somebody talking on the internet, and they said, being a people pleaser, and I'm like, I'm a people pleaser. I always want to make people happy. So, and I was always had a funny wit because I tried to keep people laughing. And he said, is really a form, or can be a form of self-hatred, homophobia or transphobia, because you're constantly apologizing for walking in the room. And I was like, oh, that really rang true for me. And so now, even as I'm sitting here, I'm trying to talk to you and, not shy away, because I am a very shy person. And, growing up dyslexic, before anybody knew that, they thought I was lazy or they thought I was dumb. And so I was told that my whole life, and the majority of my life I did feel dumb. And that's a lot for a kid to carry around. But Here we are.
You've touched on something that I think is really profound, and I know is true with me, and maybe Carla, I'm sure many other people, but this concept that you are, as an artist, you created work that then you grew into and it shaped who you became.
Yeah.
You rendered yourself in the future and then became her.
Yeah.
And and I've come to realize, especially I really started making work about inequity and it began looking with an open heart at the violence in Chicago and understanding my complicity with those systems. And then I've blossomed out to really explore all of the ways that we separate and hurt each other. And I've come to realize that that work that I've done was actually creating a better version of Anthony along the way.
Yeah.
And that we end up sometimes, I think the greatest thing we can do as an artist is once again to change ourselves through our work. And then maybe we might change other people. But also this concept, and this is super important, of embracing what other people think are your faults and claiming those things to be the things that make you great. And for me as a young artist, finance major turned artist, it was that I am loud, I have a big head, I sometimes am silly, and Carla, what were the things that...
I just want to make one thing real clear. Performing in drag didn't make me transgender. It wasn't...
No.
No, but I mean, some people really have a hard time understanding the nurture versus nature concept. And I want to say that from the second I was born, maybe before my first breath, I was treated like and expected to be a boy. And from then till now, 62 years later, if I was going to be nurtured into being something, I would be a boy. But gender is in the brain. So I was born female, and I was the only one who knew it. And people say, well, how can children know who they are? They believe in Santa Claus. I said, yes, but the difference is they don't believe that they are Santa Claus. If you listen to your children, they'll tell you who they are because they're very honest until you teach them to lie and hide and be ashamed.
Honey, so the pre-show conversation we were having was so intriguing to me because as a black woman, I have this same kind of thing. What was it like when you debuted Honey West in traditional theater spaces?
It was, well, when I first started doing cabaret, it was in the gay community. It was at there was Bugle Boy, Cars Cabaret, and then Gentry Cabaret. And when I first started, people would literally walk in the French doors of what is Scarlet now and look at me. Look me up and down in disgust because they couldn't put me in a mold. I wasn't, the beautiful Mimi Marks from the Baton, and I wasn't just a camp comedy queen. I was singing, and they would leave. They would be angry at me just because I was there. So I wasn't allowed. In fact, I created a slot. They didn't want me to perform. But I said, okay, when are you dead? And they said, well, we're open on Sunday afternoons, but nobody comes in. I says, give me 2 hours on a Sunday. And I packed the place. And then I packed the place every single Sunday for 15, 17 years. And then sometimes 2 or 3 nights a week.
Because just, for listeners who don't really understand the culture of cabaret and drag, most people lip sync and play a character that is known. They do Whitney Houston, they do Mariah Carey, they do Celine Dion. So somebody, especially at the point of your career you started, somebody coming in being themselves, their character,
didn't know
and
what to
singing
do
in
with me.
voice.
I didn't fit that mold. And back in the day, we still get a lot of people from the suburbs who will come in to the Baton or someplace and do. So Monday morning they can go around the water cooler and say, "You'll never guess what I did, this crazy thing." Right. And I would see people coming in kind of like this. Body language. They'd be sitting, and then after a little while I could see them melt in and just like enjoy me. Enjoy laughing and sharing the room. It was... I always said they came to see the freak turn into a person before their very eyes. And given the chance, that's, I think, with any marginalized person, there are communities that are gated in small towns that are all white. They don't know a person of color. They don't know an LGBTQ community member. So we're all the boogeyman. But when they see you and you have the opportunity to show them humanity, you can actually change the world that way. So laughter, music is a really powerful thing.
You made another point about not just being the performer in spaces, but being the audience in spaces.
Yeah. I'm a part of an EDI community, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, with Porchlight, but I've done a lot of work in that direction, and I know that as a performer, I don't cast the shows, I don't select the shows, I don't choose who's on the board of a theater. So I thought, well, what can I contribute? And I know that if I walk into a restaurant and I see someone I perceive to be LGBTQ, I feel I can breathe. I feel a little bit safer. I think if you really want to experience equity, diversity, and inclusion, that has to include the audience. If you have an audience that is diverse, and a diverse show with not one person of color or one trans person, but actually a diverse cast, that's when you actually start to achieve not just what it looks like, but what it feels like. I saw a meme on Facebook a while back that said, "It's nice to be invited to the party, but it's better to be invited to dance." So it's nice to be cast in a show because it looks good. It may look good and politically correct, but how does it feel? How does it feel to be an audience member watching a diverse show with a diverse cast? How does it feel as a diverse person or a marginalized person in a cast? Do you feel welcome? And that's when I think we're going to achieve a lot more inclusivity.
What would you say, final question?
Yeah.
What would you say to 10-year-old you?
Well, it's in my show.
Teaser.
Okay. I'll see if I can do a little bit of this. The full circle from being a perfectly happy 4-year-old dancing in my sister's tutu to every year after that, not so cute and not so great and hiding and lying. The full circle of the show is I was fine until people told me I wasn't. And one of the last numbers in the show is, "Now you're my age, then we were 3. The way that you are is the way you are going to be. Don't do as they say, don't do what they do." So it's basically, and the last line is, My love isn't going away. Be who you are. Everything turns out okay. Be who you are. Look who grew up to be you. Be who you are. So it's this full circle of nothing was wrong.
Girl, don't make me cry out here in these streets. I don't want to be crying on the radio.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I've had a great time.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for being here. And where can folks catch you again?
Well, right now, Honey West on Facebook, I try to keep... There's a lot of social media out there for young people. And so I do most of my social interactions on Facebook.
All right. Well, go listen to Honey on Facebook. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Honey.
Yep.
Collaboration Radio is sponsored by the Bessie and Joseph and Bessie Feinberg Foundation and AV Chicago, and you too can be a sponsor or purchase an ad and be a part of our weekly show and podcast. Just email radio@collaboration.org to inquire, and be sure to check us out and follow us on all the social media platforms. We are Collaboration on all of them.
And now it's time for Walking the Talk with Dr. Marcus Robinson of the Social Innovation Group. Wow, what a show we're having. Thank you, Honey West. Marcus Robinson.
Amazing. Just amazing. It doesn't pay to walk into this show with a script of what you want to do, because once you experience what's going on, the whole thing becomes something much more beautiful, much more organic. And I'm just going to step off with this riff and say what Honey has brought us today. Honey West has brought us today in the story that she is, the narrative of who she has become, has instructed us into the work we all need to do for ourselves. So, and it kind of connects to Anthony's work when he originally said, to white folks, do your own work, do your work on yourself. But that's for all of us. All of us, and so life is an inside job. Having the life you deserve, and the life you were born to live, is an inside job. Nothing outside can tell you that. You can it can be informative to how you use that, but it can't tell you that. That's inside of you. And Honey just really just laid that out. Like, that's what she had to do. But she's doing the work of what humans do, what sentient beings do, what it means to be, which is to author yourself, to write the narrative of your story and live into it, come what may. And while you do that work, the second piece that is the real important piece of work that I heard in Carla's piece and Anthony's piece and richly described in Honey's narrative is that once you got your arms around yourself and you're okay on the inside, now you can be someone for another. And so then the work becomes not just caring for what happens with me, but caring for what happens for the other. And that showed up in the caring about who's in the audience. I care about that for the other. I'm a sentient being who is open to engagement and belonging to all others who will do no harm to themselves and me, and that we can move together. All of that, she's offered, that narrative has offered us a chance to see that we're all on that journey together. And even the ones from 3 years old who saw her then and now they see her again at the end of the story, we all arrive. So we all arrive at this place together. We're on a long walk home together. So the real work is to take care of ourselves, take care of the other, and to celebrate each other a little bit. Come on now.
Being in the human realm is quite an amazing accomplishment.
It's the most magnificent thing in the universe. Are you kidding me? 18 billion years was invested in the generation of a sentient being that can have this level of awareness of self and the other. That is it. It's the whole thing's alive just for this opportunity. If we could only recognize ourselves that way. So that's the work. Recognize yourself that way. Do the work. Take care of yourself. Write your own narrative. And while you do that, write the rest of us into it as allies willing to take the long walk home together.
Every week, Dr. Marcus comes in here and gives us the prescription. This week's prescription, you are so quotable. Life is an inside job. Man, look at this. Life is an inside job.
You got it.
And a lot of that is right in your head.
Yeah, that's the inside piece. If there was an inside, so I only say that, like, if there was something inside of you, if I sliced open your biological unit, I would not find you any more than you would find us in the box that you're listening to called your radio right now. And so it's more like the thing that you and I are more like the box of radio, and that the body that is, but the broadcaster that's coming through, that one, that one is all of us. Full stop.
Thank you, Dr. Marcus. Thank you for being here with us and giving us that. I think that's what we have to retitle everything now for this week's show. Life is an inside job. It's our work. We have to do our work together as people. I say this once a week, I think. The fact that you've ever met a black person is actually a miracle. Because when the slave trade started, only 1 in 6 of the people that were put on the ships got off the ships alive. There's actually no reason there should be black people in America or in the Caribbean or anywhere else there was the triangle of trade and slavery. So that we are the miracle, and we have to take care. We're all a miracle. Like, none of the people you meet should actually be here with germs and black plagues and stuff. So, no.
I saw a thing that said, if you add up all your ancestors, you have 2 parents. Mm-hmm. You have 4 grandparents, that's 6, mm-hmm. right? If you go all the way back, it takes 40,000 ancestors for us to show up today. That's our imagine that. And then they do start to overlap as we go back.
It's crazy.
So let me get this. 40,000 million-to-1 shots.
Trillion.
Trillion-to-1 shots. 40,000 trillion-to-1 shots is what it takes to produce you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the intelligent design. That's intelligent design right there, buddy.
Yeah.
And we're worth it. We are worth the inner work.
Fibonacci.
Yeah.
The golden spiral, as we all spin on a planet, corkscrewing around a sun, blazing through, I saw your Facebook post. Marcus posted the cosmos, and I first looked at it. It looked like blood on the pavement. And then, no, it's actually a photo of the density and the massive scale of existence in life. And here we are together in a little studio on the northwest side of Chicago, sharing life on Collaboration Radio.
And that is our show. Thank you so much. You can catch us live next Saturday at 4 p.m. Central. And our guest will be the legendary, well-renowned chef, Erica Durham. And it will be awesome. You can listen to this podcast on WCPT's SoundCloud and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Collaboration's Facebook page. Hey.
And we're talking about food and narratives and culture and people.
Yes, we'll be talking about food and narratives.
I just got hungry right now.
Instantly.
All right, let's dance it out. Come on. Come on, honey.
Tiny dance. Tiny dance. My desk dance. My desk dance.
Do it.
Ooh.